All right. Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live Asian session. I'm your host for tonight's session, Benny Allen, along with my awesome partner. And we're definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with us this evening as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in the Forex market. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes tonight, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. Just don't sit in the back of the virtual classroom, right? Make sure you jump to the front, raise your hand, ask questions if you have them. The only thing that we ask is, hey, if you're not making a comment or asking a question, let's do our best to make sure that we keep our microphones on mute. With that being said, if everybody can hear me loud and clear and you're all ready to go, do me a big favor, drop me a 1 in the chat. Let me see who's with me tonight. All right. I see everybody dropping ones. All right, so that means my mic is good. We are all set. Give me 1 second. Okay. I think I am good there. And all right. Okay. So, Ryan, good evening, sir. How are you?
My man, I'm doing well. How about yourself, bro?
I'm doing good. Doing good. Glad to be back here in the sanctuary.
Yes,
Ready to
sir.
go. All right. Glad to be back on the charts. So,
Glad to see you back in the driver's seat, man.
yeah, appreciate you having me my back when I was out, man. So
No
appreciate all
doubt.
the thoughts and prayers and all that good stuff. So yes. So yeah, man. So today we got the where are we at here? The FOMC got OPEC meetings going on. I still have to dive into that, see what they're saying. But we got the FOMC meeting minutes that came out. Everybody's trying to figure out if the Fed is serious when they talk about a couple more rate hikes this year. If they're going to take that dot plot serious that they drew up, which is extending, the interest rates higher. So when we take a look at it today, I'll go over here. I'm going to read what they had. So for the DXY, as it relates to the Fed meeting minutes, the dollar index advanced above 103 Wednesday, hovering at its highest in over 3 weeks as the markets digested minutes from the latest Federal Reserve meeting. The FOMC loosely agreed to pause rate hikes so that further data could be gathered on how the aggressive tightening cycle has impacted inflation and growth, right? Because we know there's lagging effects to rate hikes. Still, some policymakers favored a 25 basis point hike during the last meeting, which they paused, okay? And there was a broad consensus that further tightening will eventually be needed to curb stubbornly high inflation amid a so far resilient labor market. So the labor market is still sticky. Still, swap prices show that investors continue to doubt. Here we go. The dot plot signaled 2 additional rate hikes this year as the slowing economy could force the Fed to be less hawkish and an incline. Factory orders slowed more than expected in May, while ISM data showed that the U.S. manufacturing activity for June contracted the most since May 2022. So it's still the ongoing back and forth, the markets versus the Fed, right? What's going to happen? So it's yet to be seen. So we continue to get mixed data. In some areas, we got a sticky labor market, as we just read, but we've got some manufacturing data showing and some factory orders showing some slowdowns. All right. So the back and forth, the ebbs and flows. As a result, today, right, we've got a little pop in the DXY right now in the US dollar. So that's the weekly. So far, a little neutral to bullish. And we can see here, right, that starting to creep up just a bit. So we'll continue to watch it. The DXY, but we've got a little bit of dollar strength. I tend to roll with the Fed. I know they want to get inflation back to that 2 to 3% target. But like they're saying, they're going to be give it a second pause, right? Pause. Chairman Powell made it clear during the last press conference that we shouldn't be looking at what happened at the last meeting as a skip, right? They're not skipping the rate hikes. It's more of a pause just to see some of the effects of some of the rate hikes that they've done already. and then they're going to re-engage with the data. So we'll see how that comes out. But that is where we are on the US dollar right now. Those meetings were important today. We'll see how the market reacts throughout the rest of the week. This is a holiday week. So it's kind of hard to tell right out the gate, but we'll see what happens as we move into Thursday and Friday of this week and the beginning part of next week. Any questions on the DXY?
Nope.
No, sir.
All right. So we did have those OPEC meetings. So I did want to see if there was anything. So we'll take a look at a couple tweets. Kuwait will seek to increase its OPEC plus quota. Kuwait oil minister says hopes to have higher production quota as country ramps up capacity. Will abide by OPEC decisions. That's mixed. That's mixed. OPEC comes through and says the exact opposite. That's what they're going to follow. So we'll continue to watch the oil price. We'll watch demand. As what was it earlier today, Ryan? What was the slipping my mind right now? The data out of China.
Oh,
Right,
the production was down.
Was down, right? Production was down. So we'll see. Oil holds advance on supply cuts. U.S. draw. So held near 72 a barrel. So it just hold after almost jumping 3% previous session. So it's some bunch of back and forth madness with the oil prices right now. So we'll continue to watch demand as we are into the summer months now. All right. So we'll see if we get that pickup. All right. Tomorrow on the calendar, we have the markets have kind of been just bouncing around, but tomorrow we do have Thursday, got more OPEC meetings, but we've got ADP non-farm employment change, right? Private sector job growth in the United States. So the forecast is for 226K. So we'll see what happens there. We got unemployment claims coming through too at 247. So the normal ebbs and flows, the normal cycle of reports that we get throughout the month, and we are in the beginning of July. And then we've got ISM services PMI coming through at 10 a.m. along with Joe's job opening. So continue to gauge the overall health of the economy. So we may get some market movement tomorrow from those reports, and then we move into Friday. And of course, we've got the big non-farm payroll reports coming out. And this time around, you've got the Canadian unemployment and employment change data coming out as well on Friday. So like again, holiday week with July 4th being yesterday, but we should see some things pick up towards the end of the week. Some of these huge data reports coming out, which are ever so important because of what the Fed is saying versus what the market is thinking is going to happen. So we'll continue to watch that closely. Any questions over the fundamentals at all right now? Oh, good to go. All right. Don't shortcut through those fundamentals. Make sure you guys are reading up and staying abreast the best you can. All right, so let's dive into taking a look at some pairs. I am anxious to get on here. It's been a while, so I'm gonna start. I'm gonna start taking a look at these Aussies. So we'll go over to Forex to read a little bit about the Australian dollar steady at 66, and that's versus the dollar. Even after Reserve Bank of Australia left its cash rate unchanged at 4.1% during its July 4th policy meeting, defying market expectations for a 25 basis point increase. Right. So that's a little slighted there because as they got closer to making the rate decision, the expectation was that they were going to hold. That's where the majority ended up at. The board said it needed more time, right? We just heard that from the Fed, right? It needed more time to assess the impact of past hikes and the economic outlook, adding that inflation in the country has passed its peak. Data showed that Australia's monthly CPI outlook, adding that inflation in the country has passed this. Monthly CPI indicator slowed to 5.6% in May from 6.8% in April. Right, so it's slowing down a bit. Right, so I guess it made sense for the pause. Marking is the lowest gain in 13 months and missing expectations for a 6 0.1% rise. Right, so it came in under. Okay, so still, Reserve Bank of Australia, Governor Philip Lowe said some further tightening may be needed to ensure that inflation returns to target in a reasonable time frame, depending on incoming data. All right, so they paused it at the last meeting. We've seen that CPI is starting to slow. Right, came in below forecast, which is cool. Shows that it's cooling down. Okay, all the way from 6.8% in May to 5. In April, to 5.6% in May. So it came down quite a bit. So when we come in here and we take a look at that impact on the Aussie CAD, we know that there was a huge short play on that, right? Huge move to the downside. That was beautiful price action. So we are in the midst of this ABCD wave. Okay, we got price pulling back a bit, but we definitely want to see, right, that play out. Right, so we've got our A to B, our C, our highest point within the AB boundary. This is where price is now, but we look to come into this 127 extension. Okay, so that's what we're looking for. Okay, we've got, let me see. No, we just missed that. So we're gonna say, right, this 1.618 eventually, because we didn't quite get to that that 786 pullback. So we still project that 1.618, the extension at 85.05 eventually, right? It'll take some time to get there. We got a slight pullback going on here now, right? So any pullback gives us the opportunity to either add to our short trade or look for initial entries if you haven't been involved in that. All right, so we still have quite a ways to go on that ABCD wave. So any questions on the Aussie CAD? All right, so here we are zoomed in. I forgot to look at this 1 hour. So we're moved in, we're zoomed in, okay? This is this pullback, okay? But we've got price correcting to the upside. We're moving sideways along this 4 hour support. Okay, so make sure that I pull this out here and just adjust it because we're moving sideways, right? Ryan covered that today, this morning, right? In regards to how to work the trend line. If you want to use the trend line in this situation, we've got price moving sideways. So we want to adjust that trend line to the outside of that consolidation as well. See how it's just moving sideways. Okay. So for that short to continue, we want to see a break below that 88.37 level. Okay, and move lower. And right now it's just bouncing around. Okay. So it may find support here and move higher for a deeper correction that just gives us an opportunity for a higher price. So we'll continue to watch that Aussie CAD. It's been a huge move for us so far to the downside. So we're just in the correction phase right now. That's that on the Aussie CAD. I want to take a look at the Aussie Swiss. Oops. All right, come all the way from the top on this one here. We see it kind of just bouncing around. So this is the weekly time frame, huge weekly fib. All right, price has been moving short. We're finding support here right now. Charts all over the place. Hold on 1 second. Okay. So this is where we are. We're finding support. Okay, around this 58, 54 level, strong weekly floor, and we're kind of just bouncing around. Okay. So here we are on the daily. I just brought that weekly fib on down. Okay. So we're looking for is to see if we can start, if price wants to eventually move through those weekly levels there and continue short. Okay, right now we're kind of just bouncing around in this zone. Okay, so we'll continue to watch it. We've got our stochastic coming up out of the buy zone, but we're not getting too much price. Right, so we'll continue to watch it. If we move down through the lower time frames, We see this move down, right? Move down, and now we're correcting to the upside. So if we're looking for, right, if we continue to keep a bearish bias, then you can deploy your trend line like that. And if you get that break back below, right, that 59.73 level, and we start making lower lows again, right, then you can look to punch a ticket on a potential sell trade. So move that just to the outside like that. All right. So I'm going to continue to monitor this trade just like this. And if we get a break lower, like we said, it's an opportunity to add to the position, short or maybe an initial setup. Okay, but we need to wait on some things. Any questions on the Aussie Swiss?
Hi, Benny.
Hey, what's up?
Yeah, I'm okay. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Thanks for asking.
Great. Yeah, so you said you moved the weekly fib down to either the daily or the 4 hour.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the question is, under what circumstance did you do that?
Sometimes it's just if it depends on what's making the most sense for me. So this is what I mean. So this one is coming. I pulled this one down so you can see this here. Right. A second. Right. So because sometimes what will happen is you'll get right here. So I pulled this bid down because you see how price corrected and started to move sideways and it took this fib out, right, on a lower time frame. It's still
Yes.
it's still the dominant trend was down at that point. It just made a deeper correction. So sometimes I'll pull it from the next time frame, and take it down and just play that wave, right? So because it's just it really comes down to I don't want to say feel. This is it right here. This is that daily one that I pulled down. But sometimes it just it just shows better. It just shows up better just focusing on the larger wave, right? So you see how this is letting me know from this weekly fib that I'm technically in a longer term C to D push zone. See that? All right, you follow me there?
Yes.
Whereas now I'm running these fibs on the daily. So this is a larger wave. And you see how sometimes the fibs can fool you the lower the time frame you go because the waves become smaller and then some of your fibs start getting taken out and you can get tricked to thinking like, well, I'm in a major uptrend now. And that's not necessarily the case. So whereas you saw on the 4 a down fib get taken out, it's just a deeper correction. You see what I'm saying? So that prompts me at times, and it's just from experience, right? Where it's like, you know what, I'm gonna utilize this fit, right? Because my bias is still short, right? This is still within this down AB boundary. Okay. So this is the fib that I would prefer to use in this situation, right? So you see how that one got whipped out? And then it turned back over. But it took this A out. So I just used the daily fib. Like I'll just play the larger wavelengths. And it's just a cleaner look for me on that level. Because it's been so choppy on it. Let's see how choppy that is. And it's a Swissy pair, which oftentimes, it can get really choppy. So I just pulled down a larger fib and I'm just gonna play within that framework. So just something that I've learned over time that gives me more clarity on the charts.
Yeah, so does it mean you're using that higher frame fib as an extra indicator on the lower time frame?
Using this fib
The light,
here.
yeah, I said,
Yep.
yeah,
Yep.
okay.
Yep. So I'm going off of this, and you see how we almost pull back to that 50%, right? On this fib from the higher time frame. This is the fib that I'm using to track the price action. It's just a bigger move that I'm following, right? Because so you know, if you run it, see how let me move this bigger fib out the way. You see how back and forth this is? See how I took that one out again, right? And then you run it here. See that?
Yes.
Now it's moving. Now it's moving. See how choppy that is? Because I'm moving down through the lower charts, but it's like, well, my bias is to the downside, regardless of all of this sideways movement and this choppy action. My bias is to the downside. So I want to redo that now. So that's how I want to keep it. And so I want to make sure that I'm seeing the charts in the direction of my directional bias, which is still down. Right? That's not to say that this can't climb for a higher. That's why I drew that trend line, right? It's not to say that it can't climb to a higher price within this AB boundary. That's fine. You know, if it wants to do that, that's cool. It just gives me a better price. But this is, you know, until the market proves to me otherwise with this Australian dollar, considering some of the fundamentals that's going on with it, this is what I'm gonna use, right? I can make a play off of this. I can't make a play off the mess that I just showed you with the other fibs on the 4 hour. Right. So that's a lot cleaner.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah. I don't know if it makes perfect sense to you. It's kind of hard. It's kind of hard to explain, but like I said, over time, it's just something that I realized doing top-down analysis. Like, man, sometimes the higher time frame fib, it gives me a cleaner look, right? Because back, you know, a few years ago, like I would constantly get fooled. Like, well, it just took out, you know, this fib, right? And you know how we can play that too, right? We know that when an A gets taken out, oftentimes there's a monster correction coming. So if you flip your fibs the other way, it can give you a nice reversal trade off that up AB boundary, right? Like something like this, right? You're like, oh, I can get a reversal trade, or maybe it lands in the zone of the 80-20. But one of the things that I realized, right, going back through my charts is like, well, man, like if I just use that higher time frame fib, it's reversing anyway, and now it's right back in sync with the directional bias to the downside. So just something you have to get used to. Just one of those caveats that you recognize doing top down analysis. So that's why I'm playing it like that. Yep. Good question. Really good question. Any other questions on this Aussie Swiss? Yep. All right. Appreciate it, JC. Okay. So, right. And you can do that because you can really do that with any. It just depends on, some people like trading smaller fibs because just psychologically, right? They want to be in and out of trades more. But you can bring down, you know, a daily fib to your 4 or a daily fib to your 1 and watch the price action and don't pay attention to those smaller waves at all. Because ultimately, we always say that your lower time frames are just fractals of your higher time frames. And no matter how choppy it may look on your lower time frames, your 4 hour, your 1 hour, your 15-minute, your 5-minute, your 1 minute, ultimately, if that higher time frame is moving in a ABCD wave and you're now in a C to D push zone to the downside, even though the price action might look crazy and choppy on those lower time frames, it's moving in that larger ABCD wave capacity. It's moving in that direction ultimately. So sometimes it's just cleaner to just pull a higher time frame fib down. That's all. So But yep. So Aussie yen, right? This is my one Aussie play because it's against the yen that I still have it moving to the upside right now. So this is the weekly chart. This is a larger fib here, right? So you always know that this is what's running kind of like on the back end, if you think of it like that. Like what's really running and driving this thing on the back end? Well, it's an up ABCD wave from the monthly chart, right? So if this is my C, I'm looking, if I run this as my C, then I can circle this. Like, okay, that was my lowest point within the AB boundary. Right. And this is taking a bird's eye view of it. And then I can link that down and I can start, you see here in my zone, I can start running my fibs from there to the upside. So when you come down here to the 4, right, it's been bullish, right? It's been running bullish. Okay. You can see there's that monthly zone. See how we get choppy and you get stuff starting to get taken out. So look, if I run this here like that, see how that got taken out? And then if you run it to the upside again, right, got taken out, then you find the low and then it catches. Right. Well, ultimately that's moving long. Right. So sometimes you could bring a larger fib down to eliminate all of that stuff if you want. But this is where we are right now. And you know, the Aussie is not the strongest currency, you know, in the bag right now, but I still take it over the yen. So it's taking its time, right? We're back in the buy zone again already on this one. So maybe we're forming a swing low here and we're going to continue to move long. Don't know. But you got a beautiful pullback, right? 50% up against daily support at 95.26. And you can see where it took off. It got some momentum to the upside. Now we got this bit of a complex pullback here where it took out this low and it looks like it's starting to settle again. So maybe we start to move long. But you can see here, right, how it broke that trend line. Okay. So we're on the other side of that trend line. So it broke it and then it pulled back. So now we want to see, right? We got a 1 hour stochastic back in the buy zone as well. So maybe it's time for it now, you know, to try to gain some upward momentum. But my overall bias is long. You know, if I'm wrong, the market's gonna tell me. Right. So we'll see how it plays out. But that's where we are on the dollar, the Aussie yen. Any questions on that move?
No.
Okay. So just trying to identify that ABCD wave structure, you know, how it gets there to its destination, I don't care. It can move sideways for 2 weeks. Don't matter. Right. But my bias, right, is long. Okay. So it could bounce around, but as long as it's staying within that AB boundary, I'm looking long. And we know what the higher time frame move is. And the reason why I'm looking at this for the long hard is because it's right now it's just holding above this 95.26 daily level and that 95.69 level. And it's just staying there. So like I said, even though the Aussie hasn't been the strongest, it's hovering above that level. Now, if we start to get a breakdown there, then it will take out my A and then it's just going to push deeper. But until then, we've got a daily stochastic in the buy zone. I have to continue to, to keep my long bias, until the market tells me. So that's my story and I'm sticking to it. So we'll see how it goes. So that is the Aussie yen, the Aussie NZD. You can see that this is beautifully bearish. Okay. Look how that pulled back into that zone. 1, 2, right? We're neutral to bearish there, and then we're coming into this week and we're continuing short right now. So that's just horizontal support and resistance, good price structure there. That's now, right? So this is the high here. If we close out this week bearish, that's going to be another weekly level. So we know we have it on the daily. And this is just identifying structure. Okay. So you can see we got a pullback. Look at this level, right? The price action is amazing how it came right back into that zone. Okay, so look. Boom. Okay. Now we're looking to move down, right? Eventually, potentially get to that D extension there. Okay. This cash is back. We're moving. It's back in the buy zone. So the momentum may be slower. We may be in for a correction, but it's beautiful when we look at it from the 4. Okay. This 4-hour wave. See that? Look at that correction. See how we got that pullback? And look, we ran right into that extension. So we got a 786 pullback. All right. And you got the wave, right? Once you see it, you can't not see it. It's there all the time. It's there. Boom. Okay. Stochastic on the 4 is back in the buy zone. So we need to swing low, new AB boundary. Look at it here. Look at the break. See? See how it just looks cleaner? All right, just bring that down. Just bring that down. Because when you get higher corrections, when you start getting up around that 8.6 level, 786 level, sometimes 61.8 level, depending on the pair. Whenever you get on, around that level on your daily or your 4-hour, it's typically going to start to take out your fibs on your lower time frames. Like the lower and lower you go. Like you see that? See, that took it out. Right? That took that fib out. So we always say it's a couple ways you can play that. Like how I did it and pulled down a 4-hour fib, or right when it takes out the A, you flip it and see if you can get it to reverse back. Right, but sometimes it's just a cleaner look to run that higher time frame fib down. JC, you got a question? No? Accident? Maybe.
Oh, Benny, could you hear me?
Yep, I can hear you now.
Okay. Oh, I was asking if that 4-hour field played out. On my side, I got it meeting that 786 extension in the 80-20.
Where you at? Oh, you hit it. You let me see. Where you at? See, this is what I got right here on the 4. You don't have that?
Yeah, I do. So I'm saying, like,
Oh.
didn't it breach that 786 and then it hit it at the bottom?
Right here. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. So you tagged it. So what it's doing now is it's trying to form the low to give you the new AB boundary. See, look.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Oh, that got me. Okay.
No, but hold up. No. Nope. You're right. This is what threw the fib off. You see that wick?
Mm-hmm.
That throws your fib, that throws it off sometimes, so it didn't activate. You're right on that. You're right on that. I take that back. That's great work. That's your low. This is your swing low after that D extension is hit. So good call out, JC. There you go, right there. That's what that should look like. Mm-hmm. And you're coming into that 80-20 zone. That's what you're talking about?
Yep, that's what I got. Yep.
Great eye on that. Sometimes, right, that with the algorithm with the smart fib, if it's a quick move like that, it won't catch it. It won't catch it. But it definitely hit it though. It tapped it. Right? It deactivated it, right? But it didn't give you the new fib after this candle closed. Right? So we look at it, right? The pullback, the correction, right? Maybe we get back down into that zone. That would be good if we fall down to that 127 zone. But we're looking for right, that correction, and then a continuation down if that bearish trend is going to continue. Good stuff. Appreciate it. Really good work. I'll rerun my fib on this just 1 hour after we finish. It's probably gonna come. It's probably a new 80 boundary sitting there too on that one. Oh, you're welcome. All right. So that's that. this Aussie dollar. Okay. We're just trading the waves, right? Trading the waves. We got a rejection there. Look at that. On your weekly, right? We're kind of neutral right now, bearish to neutral right now. Right. See, it's just a choppy market with a lot of pairs right now, but you can still play them, right? Just focusing on your horizontal support and resistance levels. Okay. And you could come down through your lower time frames and run your fibs off the high, right? To the downside. So like this here. See? Just use that impulse leg. Choppy market, look at it. Okay. But you got a nice rejection there. That's good price action. Okay. That's good price action. So what we want to see is, can this maintain its momentum? Can it continue to make lower lows and lower highs, right? Maybe back down to support. You got a new support here. New support here on your daily, like this. Boom. Levels being formed all the time. So we can just focus on, hey, this last, now look, think about it. This is your daily chart. If we close out, right, with a lower candle, this is our center candle high, you're gonna have a new swing high here, right? Which you're probably seeing on the 4 hour already, or your 1 hour, but that'll give you a new daily level. So then it's just a matter of, does the momentum want to continue to move down? And that's how these waves are created. And it does the same thing over and over and over again, right? Boom. Can't tell the future, right? But we can recognize patterns that will give us a higher probability. So we'll continue to see if we get downside pressure on this Aussie dollar, right? So look how high that pushed in the zone off the smaller wave on the 1, right? And you'll discover, the more and more you trade, what charts do I like to trade? What do I want to be my mother chart? Coming down off the higher time frames, do I want to stop at the 4? Do I want to trade a 2 hour chart? Do I want to trade a 1 hour chart, a 15-minute chart? So you can see how I gave an aggressive break on that inner trend line. I can get that out of there now. But you can see how it's turned back over. It's turning back over in the zone. So we'll see if that momentum will continue to the downside. Take that off now. Like that. So let's see if we continue to get that push. So if this 1 hour one continues, we came up just shy, right? So maybe we get it. We come to this 127. You can say back down to 4 hour support there, 65.94. Right? That would be a beautiful move, right? So if you play your 61.8 zones with the trend, right? So maybe you got an entry there around that zone. You're in drawdown. So what? Right? So what? Okay. We don't worry about that. It's not something we worry about in this group because we use proper risk management. If my stop's above that A, right? So we know you like to trade 61.8s, 7.86s. Boom, right? 2 zones we like to trade with the trend. Can't worry about it. Hey, I'm risking 0.5%, 1/4%, maybe 1% per position. We're dividing that risk by the stop loss. Right now, okay, because you have faith in what you do, okay, and you trade your zones, that trade's in profit right now. Right? That trade in profit, yes or yes. If that was your setup, and you took that setup, would you be in profit? Somebody tell me.
Yes.
Yes, right? And I like doing that because I go through it all the time. I tell myself yes, but then I see these opportunities, but then for some reason, I don't take them. right? So confirmation is king. Yes. If I'm coming from the top down and my directional bias is bearish and I'm trading with the trend, right? You see it all through the charts. Look, 80-20, boom, right? Counter. If I'm trading with the trend and I have strict rules in my trade plan and say, hey, if I'm with the trend, I'm looking for my high price to be the 61.8786. I divide my risk by my stop loss. If my stop's above the A, right? Then I'm gonna this is a swing trade. Once price pushes up and gives me high prices, I'm looking for price to swing. Right? So technically, you would be up right now. So what you have to do is the next step is to build the confidence to let that trade just ride. Right? Whether it bounces back and forth, moves up, moves you back to break even, goes into the negative zone. If you're gonna swing trade this thing, you let it ride because you've already figured out your math. You've won the war before it started. You've already figured out your math. I can't stress that enough. Figure that out before you take a trade. And if you're not comfortable with the outcome of your math, don't take the trade. Or adjust it, lower your risk to where you're comfortable. Because you're gonna need these trades to run, because it's letting your winners run is gonna compensate for those losses that you take, because we all lose. We all lose, right? And I know when I was a new trader, I didn't want to believe that, but that's a fact. We all lose, right? You got to become a good loser, right, to be successful at this thing. So that will be the setup, right? So right now, okay, you're up a little bit there, almost 30 pips, right? You're up a little bit there, 46 pips. Okay. But ultimately, this move, okay, if I pull back to a 786, then my downside target is going to be that 127. So ultimately, that trade at the 786 should be over 100 pips. And at this 61.8, it should be 90. So 195 pips total on those positions if it plays out. Okay. So we know what the potential is, but we also have to know what the potential loss is too. All right. I should know that if I lose both of these positions, I'm out a 0.5% or 1% or 2%, and I have to be good with that. Right? And that's the best way to keep it simple. Keep it simple. Any questions on the Aussie dollar?
No, sir. Great breakdown, man.
Appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Keep it as simple as possible. Right? Especially if you have a busy life. You're not going to be in front of your computer all day. Don't do it to yourself. All right? Don't do it to yourself. I want to take a look at this Euro Aussie because it's bouncing around. I want to see when that's going to pick up momentum. So it's diving on me right now. All right. Can't get confirmation to break topside. All right. All right. Can't get it to break topside. It does not, like, it's pushed up. All right. It's pushed up, but it's not getting the momentum. But right, if we get that break, we're rolling. Right? We're rolling. This is what was concerning me and had me looking for extra confirmation on this position. Right? We're still within our AB boundary. Right? But coming into this week when it started, this move, this stochastic was way overbought. And you can see how, right, we're moving to the downside. So we're moving into oversold territory already. And you see where it stalled. So the question becomes from the higher time frame, okay, because I'm definitely bullish the euro. So the question becomes, are we setting up to form the swing low here on the daily time frame? Everybody follow me on that? Yes or no?
Yes, sir.
Nope.
Yep. Nope. Okay. So right now, this is the correction. You see how, look at this huge move to the upside. And now we're correcting. See all the green and then the red, right? So when you look at your lower time frame, it's like, boom, I'm bullish. I'm in an uptrend, right? And now I'm correcting. So my concern was when I drew this markup coming into the week, I drew this markup thinking, is this going to hold? I wonder if this is going to hold within the AB boundary while this correction occurs on the daily. Because we were way overbought. But look how quickly the momentum has moved to the downside. But you can see where we're stalling. So what I'm saying is now we're way deep in our zone here. Okay. We've come into an 8-6, it's tried to push, it's coming back down, it's doing the dance. So this has retraced 86%. Right. So look, if I come here and I put a daily candle overlay on like this. Like that. Here's your daily move up. And then here's that correction. You see how we're within that AB boundary? So I'm looking for that additional confirmation with my trend line because I'm like, man, I know my stochastic was in the sell zone when I first drew this thing up. Is it just going to continue to fall, right? With this momentum to the downside and just push lower and take my A out on the lower time frame? Or is it eventually going to pause? You see how it's starting to settle down a little bit here? Right. So right now, it's just a question of, is this going to be my low candle? Right? You see how that's coming, pushing still? Is this going to be my low candle? Am I going to get 1, 2 candles to the right and give me support here? Like this. Right? Is this eventually going to be my support? And we get maybe another red candle, you know? But does this hold as the low? And then we start to move up from there. Like this. And we continue. So that's the question.
Yeah, got you
If we
now.
do, you got it? You got it? Cool. So that's the question right now with this. You see how it's still just moving down through the zone. It's deep, right? See how it's moving down through that zone and it's staying below that trend line? I'm cool with the deep retracement. I just needed to break. I just needed to continue. I need buyers to come in and pick that up, right? So you can see how this is moving right up through the buy zone. Right? You can see how we've got a low here. That's a 4-hour low on this 4-hour chart. See that? So this is the question. Okay? And this is where patience comes in. Because it tried. It tried. Look, it gave us this huge bullish candle here. Right here. It tried to gain some momentum, but pushed it right back down. Then look, pushed up again, buyers came in. Right. So we just, to make this trade idea work, we need some buyers, everybody, to come in. We've gone beyond a 61.8. We come into this 8.6. So this squeezes that trade down a little bit, right? This squeezes that trade down to 257 pips on that initial, from this time frame. But of course, there's a larger move overall when you come and you look at this, right? So if this larger fib plays out, then we definitely have some more room to the upside. See, and this is what's got me thinking long here. That's a huge morning star right there. Decision, indecision, decision. Now we're just moving sideways. Right? Now we're just moving sideways. So sometimes you just have to be patient. And this is why we trade small. If it hits my stop, right? If you're in this trade and it hits your stop, you should already know I'm out 1/4%, 0.5%, 1%. I was good with it before I even took the trade. If you're still waiting on additional confirmation with your trend line or a cloud break or any of those things that we teach, then you're good. You're just sitting on here and you're just waiting. And if it takes the A out, you were never in the trade anyway because it didn't meet your confirmations. It just continued down in the zone. And that's the game we play, especially when you're trading with the trend. You know, because you need that momentum to pause and then swing the other way. In essence, we need a higher low. Here's a low. Here's a higher high. We need a higher low. See? And it's the same thing over and over again. So this is what we need to happen from the daily perspective. We need this to settle down. Right? Settle down if you can, and then get long. And then we'll be in the business. And sometimes it's just not time. It may push lower, retest this level. It may take out your A and then make the U-turn. Right? And then make the U-turn and continue. And it's like, man, I was right. It just wasn't the right time for it. So we'll see. We'll see how it continues to play out. Any questions on that Euro Aussie?
The other thing too, Benny, that you may have there if that swing low forms is a crown pattern.
What time frame you looking at the crown from?
4 in the daily.
Okay.
You can see it pretty clear on the 4 right there. That's your
Oh
daily.
yeah, right here. Yeah, this is your daily. I see it right there. Yep. Yep. Okay.
So that's another thing I got my eyes on too.
Nice. I see that. Speaking of crowns, Jeremy, I think it was you that called that crown out on the pound CAD. Am I right? I believe that. It's been a while. But I think that was you that called this out. You spotted this because I was thinking like it might be a range. You were like, no, it looks like you have a crown. Well, I hope you took it because you as of right, you did. Congratulations. You got a huge candle right there too. Because right now you are 100% correct on that. I thought we were gonna get trapped, range bound, but that is a good eye seeing that. I drew it up too. I left it there. I wanted to see if it played out, and it's moving in your direction. Let's see if it can keep its momentum. I mean, I'm taking a pound over the CAD right now. Consider. So great job, great job.
Thank
You're welcome.
Great work, man.
Yeah, I had that one on my mind when I was going back through my charts. Like Jeremy said, it just is a crown too. So really, really good work. About these, I'm trying to. The pound Swissy is playing out pretty good. Everybody, yep, dropping some sevens. Get you some sevens in that chat. That's some great work. Yep. And this pound Swissy is doing pretty good. Right. That one's moving along pretty good. So that one still letting it just do its thing. Slowly but surely. So decent entry on that. That's almost 80 pips or so. So it's making its run. It's got a ways to go, right, to get to 285. But I'm definitely gonna look to to let that one play out. So that would be interesting to see if we can get it to that D extension. Any questions on the pound Swissy? We've got a low here. See, if you didn't know anything, right, about the fib sequence, you still, right, doing top-down analysis can identify, right, that's past resistance becoming future support, right? And that's all some people trade are levels. If you could just mark your chart up and do your top-down analysis, you can spot these. Look, past resistance becoming future support. We confirmed it with the swing low. And now we're coming up out of the zone, right? So you still, right, and we always said it, like, don't get so infatuated with the fibs and the sequence that you miss, right, training your eyes to just the simplicity of the market. It moves up, down, and sideways. It breaks and it retests here. Look here, and look how price held. And you got the same thing now. So the question becomes, do we, right, push higher? Get back to 115.05 first, and then do we continue higher from there? So if all you ever took from the Forex trade room is how to do my top-down analysis of how to mark my support resistance, identifying swing lows and swing highs, you can do well. All right, think about that. You could do well. You could do well trading swing lows and swing highs on daily charts. I know you all see that. Yeah. Okay. Any questions on the pound Swiss?
No, sir.
Okay. And we're talking about long swing trades, right? This is up close to 80 pips. That's a good week for a lot of people. There's nothing wrong with that, right? So it just depends on how you set your trade plan up and what your goals are, right? You might not be the type of person that, man, I'm 285 might not be my thing. So then you have to develop a trade plan around that and be consistent. Be consistent and stay within the proper risk to reward ratio so you can have trades that's going to make up for the losing trades that you. That's the key. Yeah, that's the key. So, all right, that's that. That was oh, this NZD cat. We'll wrap it up on we'll wrap it up on this one. This NZD CAD is still moving long, right? So you can look at the weekly here, how it found, see how it found that support, right? And we're moving long. See, look, okay. So we'll see once it gets to this level if it's going to stay range bound. We're going to be trapped in the range here. But again, you just start to, over time, right? You start to notice, right? So I've got a beautiful morning star again right there. Decision, indecision, decision long. Been pushing long ever since. And then here's the swing. Right, so we come down to the 1. Right, we can see how that's moving up. Come to the 4. There. Okay. There's that 382 target. See if we can get there. 80-20 swing. So let's see if we can continue to make higher highs and higher lows and move, right, ultimately to that 382 target off the 4. So we got it's 156 pips to go. See if we can catch that 382. So this has been pretty impulsive. So any corrections to the downside may give you an opportunity to get back long. All right, well, it's good being back. We'll wrap it up for this session tonight. Any questions before we wrap things up? Nope. All right. Hey, trade small. Focus on getting consistent and catching the pips, and the money will come. It will come. So, Ryan, anything else to say before we close things out, sir?
I echo your sentiments. We trade small.
That's it. That's it. Get good at this thing. Money will be there. Money will be there. So it's a great skill set. Hey, we'll see everybody tomorrow, 6:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for the pre-New York session. Everybody, have a good night. Thanks, Michelle. Appreciate it. Definitely good to be back.
Thank you.